Это собака. Это игрушки собаки. Я даю игрушки собаке. На. Я глажу собаку. Я люблю собаку. Я играю с собакой. Моя рука на собаке. Всем привет and welcome to the Russian Readers channel. And in today's video we'll talk about the Russian cases. If you're a beginner student of Russian, you may have heard of cases, but you're not really sure what they are, what part of speech they affect, and how they actually work. So this video will give you kind of an overview of what cases are all about without going in depth. I'll just show you a few examples so you can compare it with English or your first language. And well, in this video we'll be comparing Russian with English, and English does not really have grammar cases, so you'll see exactly how Russian is different from English in terms of the way words change by the case. And well, a little disclaimer, the three major parts of speech that are actually affected by cases, that change by cases in Russian or other languages that have cases, would be nouns, adjectives, and pronouns, right? So verbs, for example, are not affected by cases at all. But in this video, we'll just look at nouns. In particular, we'll look at one noun, and you may have already guessed it, that noun is dog. And I'll show you how it changes by different cases and how it compares to English. And well, to begin with, Russian has 6 grammar cases. They are nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, instrumental, and prepositional. And English, once again, does not really have cases, so it doesn't really have any cases. So what's a case anyway? Well, if I had to explain it in my own words, imagine you have a noun, right? And a noun can have different functions or different roles in a sentence, right? It can be a subject, it can be an object, a direct object, indirect object. It can be used as a tool. It can be used as a possession in the possessive case or possessive function, etc. And in certain languages, you have to change the form of the noun based on how it's used in the sentence, based on what role it has in the sentence. And English is not the case. Well, pun intended. There will be a lot of pun intended in this video. So yes, English is not the case because in English, nouns never really change. No matter how you use a noun in a sentence, it's not going to change its form, right? Take the word dog, for example, right? You can say, this is a dog. I love my dog. I play with the dog. I gave something to the dog. You can have different prepositions that help you express those relationships, right, between words. But the form of the noun will never change. This is why English does not really have cases. Or rather, we should say, due to the fact that English has no cases, nouns in sentences don't change. Spanish, for example, is the same way. Nouns in Spanish don't really change by the case. So again, if you use the word perro in Spanish, again, no matter how you use it, it's always going to remain perro. But in Russian and in certain other languages, you have to change the form of a noun based on how it's used in a sentence, right? And most of the time, by changing the form of the noun, I mean adding some endings, right? So essentially, when you learn a new case, you must remember when to use it, right? So you must remember its meaning or its meanings. Usually a case may have, several different uses. And then secondly, you must remember what ending your noun takes in that particular case. And of course, when it's your first language, you don't really have to learn those endings, right? So Russian for me is the first language. I never had to learn those endings. I just grew up speaking it. So I use them naturally, and I use all those endings correctly. So yes, let's look at the examples I gave you in the beginning of the video so you can see at least one noun, a very common noun at that, right? And the way it functions across all 6 different cases in Russian and how it compares to English. So the first example was это собака. Это собака. Right? This is a dog. And in this sentence, the word собака is used in the nominative case. And the general meaning of the nominative case in Russian is the as-is case, right? So it's kind of like the dictionary form of nouns. So whenever you learn a new noun, or you look it up in a dictionary, or you simply use it in a sentence like, this is a dog or this is a house, right? You use it in the nominative case. So basically it's the initial form that doesn't really have any additional endings. It's like your starting point, the nominative case. So the second example was это игрушки собаки. Это игрушки собаки. Which means these are, well, in English you would say these are the dog's toys, but more literally it means these are toys or the toys of the dog. And in this sentence, the word собака is used in the genitive case, which in Russian is собаки. And in this video, I'm not going to teach you different endings of different cases, for different genders and plurals, because the purpose of this video is not to teach you how to use the cases per se. It will take a lot more than one video, trust me. But this video is just an overview to show you how cases function on an example of one common noun, which is собака. So yes, basically just take my word for it. The genitive form of собака in Russian is собаки. And the general meaning of the genitive case in Russian is possession. So whenever you use your noun in the form of possession or in the function of possession, in Russian you must put it in the genitive case. And in Russian it's not really common to use it the same way as in English, where you would just put an apostrophe s, the dog's toys, right? Pretty much the only way you can say it in Russian is to say these are the toys of the dog. But here's the beauty of Russian cases and Russian case endings. You don't actually have to use a preposition, right? Because in English, nouns don't have endings, right? They don't have cases. So the only way you can express it is by using a preposition of the dog, right? In Russian, we don't literally say of. We just change the ending of the noun and it comes to mean of the dog. Okay, on to the third example, which was я даю игрушки собаке. Я даю игрушки собаке. Now, in English it would mean I am giving toys or the toys to the dog. And in this sentence the word собака is used in the dative case, which in Russian is собаке. And again, you can see that in English the word dog does not change. And once again, in English there is a preposition that you have to use to show that relationship, right? I give the toys to the dog, right? But in Russian you simply say собаке, and that already means to the dog. So you don't need a preposition, you simply change the ending. And the general meaning of the dative case in Russian is the indirect object, right? So if we look at the sentence, I am giving the toys to the dog. So the toys would be our direct object. This is the object of our action, right? And then to the dog would be the indirect object, because this is the person or creature that receives or somehow benefits from the direct action. In other words, if you were giving the dog to someone, right, then the dog would be the direct object. But if you're giving something to the dog, right, that something, in this case toys, is the direct object, and then the dog is the indirect object. And the next example was я глажу собаку. Я глажу собаку. И я люблю собаку. Я люблю собаку. Right, and this is the accusative case. And again, we can see that the English word dog remains unchanged, right? But in Russian, it takes yet another ending. In this case, it's u. And unlike with the dative case that is used for indirect object, the accusative case is used for direct objects, right? So in the examples I gave you, я глажу собаку, I'm petting the dog. So the dog is the direct object of my action, right? Or я люблю собаку, even though love is not a physical action per se, right? Technically, it's still, the dog is the direct object of my love in this case, right? So я люблю собаку, and the accusative form of the word собака in Russian is собаку, which is what, again, you have to put it in whenever you use it as the direct object. On to the next example, which was я играю с собакой. Я играю с собакой, which means I am playing with the dog. So this is the instrumental case, and as you may have guessed it from the name of the case, it is used with nouns that are used in the function of an instrument or a tool. So for example, if you say I brush my teeth with a toothbrush, or I eat soup with a spoon, or I write with a pen, right? So all those nouns are used as tools or instruments, and oftentimes, pretty much always, you will see the preposition with in English, which in Russian is с. And it was a little bit difficult for me to think of an example when I would be doing something with a dog using it as a tool. So I just used an example simply with the preposition with, which is by association also uses the instrumental case. So basically, whenever you use the preposition с in Russian, which again means with, you will most likely have the instrumental case. So in my example, it was I'm playing with the dog, even though I'm not using it as a tool, but I still use the preposition с, and in this case, I must put the noun in the instrumental case. And the instrumental case of the noun собака in Russian is собакой. Again, I'm not going to comment much on that. This is just the way it is. And the last example I gave you was моя рука на собаке. Моя рука на собаке, which means my hand is on the dog. And I know it sounds a little weird, but I was really trying hard to think of an example for the prepositional case whose major meaning, primary meaning is location. So here I use our noun dog as a location because my hand literally is on it. And when I use a noun as a location, in particular with the preposition na, which means in Russian on top of or on, right? I put the noun in the prepositional case, and the form of собака in Russian in the prepositional case is собаке. And again, we can see that in English there is no change whatsoever to the word dog. My hand is on the dog. So we can see that the word dog did not literally change in any of the examples. Well, maybe in the genitive, right? When in English you would say these are the dog's toys. So you do add the apostrophe S. But, by and large, yeah, we didn't see any changes to our noun. Whereas in Russian, we pretty much changed the ending in each case. And you probably noticed that a couple of cases kind of, coincided. For example, dative and prepositional, they both take the ending yeah, right? But this is just a coincidence. This doesn't mean it's the same case or they have anything in common in terms of the meaning. No, it's just a coincidence, I guess, because there are so many vowels, so many endings you can apply. So yeah, some of the cases are bound to match, to coincide, but technically those are still different cases. And again, what's going to happen if you don't change the case when you're supposed to? For example, instead of saying я глажу собаку, you say я глажу собака. Or instead of saying я играю с собакой, you say я играю с собака. Again, as I always tell my students, you will not get struck by lightning, right? It's most of the time perfectly understandable to a Russian speaker what you're saying, but it does sound wrong. It is wrong grammar. So in certain cases, it could affect the meaning or it can cause some confusion. But yeah, most of the time you will be understood just fine. That being said, of course, it is best to use the correct grammar Okay guys, I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button. Remember, you can ask any questions in the comment section below. We'll try to answer all the questions you have for us there. Subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our app. Remember that our app, Russian Readers, have a lot of useful stories that you can read, you can listen to, and they will help you improve your reading skills, your listening skills, boost your vocabulary, improve your grammar. We also have a special section of stories called grammar guides where you can learn about Russian cases in particular. So yes, be sure to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. Спасибо, и I will see you next time. Until then, пока-пока.